Welcome to the Kentucky Public Library Trustees Certification Program sponsored by the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives and the Kentucky Public Library Association. Today's program covers the roles of library trustees and directors. KDLA and KPLA have collaborated on this program because we realize the importance of trustees to our libraries. Trustees are critical to the success of Kentucky's public libraries. As a trustee, you have agreed to give your valuable time and energy to undertake the important role of overseeing your library. Few offices in your community provide as great an opportunity to serve in a manner that impacts your community, both today and tomorrow. Those who have served as library trustees have built a strong foundation on which public library service is provided today. This program will offer tools that will enable you as a trustee to build on this foundation and provide even stronger library service in the future. After viewing this presentation, you will know how the library board and director work together to ensure the public library runs properly through creating library policy, planning for the future, managing library finances, overseeing personal issues, selecting and developing new trustees, and advocating for the library. One of the keys to success for any organization, whether it is a business, religious organization, school, social club, nonprofit, or a library, is having everyone understand their proper role as part of the organization. Efficient operation requires all parts of an organization to be functioning appropriately according to his or her designated role. This is certainly true of the leadership of the library. Although the library board and library director must work very closely together in developing library service, each has obligations and responsibilities that are very different. Trustees, along with the library director, need to understand their appropriate roles and hold each other accountable to make sure their roles are being properly fulfilled. Only in this manner will the library provide high-quality service while enabling trustees and the director to find their roles rewarding. Library boards have been created by law to act as the governing body of the library. Thus, library trustees are public officials, and the powers delegated to them are a public trust. As an indication of the serious nature of this work, duties of the trustees are spelled out in the Kentucky statutes. Today's program will cover library trustee and director roles in 7 specific areas: governance, policymaking, planning, finance, personnel, board development, and advocacy. One of the key roles for trustees is in governance of the library. Once a citizen is awarded the honor of being chosen to serve on the library board, a basic requirement is that he or she must attend all board meetings along with the library director. Before each meeting, the trustees should study the board packet. To ensure this happens, the library director prepares and sends each trustee the board packet prior to each meeting. The board packet includes an agenda, fiscal reports, the monthly report, and any correspondence. At each board meeting, the trustee should actively participate in meetings by asking questions, making motions, and voting. The library director advises the board as appropriate, answers trustees' questions, and provides requested or general information for the board. While the board oversees the overall operations of the library director manages the day-to-day operations. It is not the responsibility of the trustee to run the library, but to make sure the director plays that role. The library trustee and director should know state and federal laws that affect libraries and support library legislation via advocacy. Laws that library trustees and directors should be familiar with include those pertaining to libraries, the Open Meetings Act, and the Open Records Act. Each trustee should ensure that county and city officials understand the value of the library and support the services it provides. Regularly attending local governmental meetings will give library trustees an opportunity to talk about library programs and services, develop stronger relationships, and create partnerships with local government officials. Directors should provide the necessary data and/or reports to support trustee efforts in communicating with local and state government officials. Among the most important functions of a public library board is the formation of relevant and necessary policies. These policies are vital tools that govern the library's operation, create a strong and vibrant relationship with the community, and assist the library in attaining its community service goals. It is the responsibility of library trustees to review and adopt bylaws and policies for board operations, personnel, and library operations. The director may, at the board's request, provide proposed bylaws and policies. The board should hire a qualified attorney to review policies. The board may communicate directly with the attorney or may delegate that duty to the director. Once the board adopts policies, it is the responsibility of the director to implement all policies and procedures adopted by the board. The director, on a regular schedule, advises the trustees when revisions or additional policies are needed. Planning is an important element of any successful library. The library must grow with its community, and only through a well-considered plan can the library continue to provide high-quality service in the future. There are many ways to undertake a planning process. Each board determines the best method of planning for its library. Under the direction of the board, the director, or whomever the board designates, drafts the plan for the board's consideration. Each board determines to what degree trustees will be involved in the development of the plan. Regardless of the process, it is the director's responsibility to be intimately involved in drafting the plan and the board's responsibility to adopt the final strategic plan. Based on the plan adopted by the board, the director creates a strategy for achieving the plan's goals. The board's responsibility is to monitor the progress and revise the goals and objectives as needed to meet the changing conditions. Annually, the board should undertake a comprehensive review of the plan and make revisions as necessary. Part of this review should be a report of the director regarding the progress toward implementation of the strategic plan. Take a few minutes to review what we have learned. Please answer these true or false statements. Trustees should attend all board meetings. True. The board deliberates and makes important legal and financial decisions at every meeting. Each meeting is also a time when the board exercises its responsibility and oversight. Thus, it is important that each trustee attend every meeting to participate in all decisions made by the board so that they are fully aware of what is being done with public funding. Trustees do not need to know library laws. False. A working knowledge of laws pertaining to libraries is important to trustees in making decisions. Trustees' knowledge of the laws makes consultation with legal counsel even more effective. Trustees should review board packets prior to each meeting. True. Reviewing the board packet informs the trustee regarding business to be undertaken and allows the opportunity for prior consideration of the issues. It is a time-saving practice that allows the board to use its time together more productively. Trustees ensure the development and adoption of written policies for personnel and library operations. False. So the library can operate effectively on a day-to-day basis, it is necessary for the board to adopt guidelines that the staff may use in providing service and the director may use in personnel and operating decisions. Trustees should review and revise the library's strategic plan annually. True. Much time and effort is necessary for development of the plan. It is a dynamic document. To realize its goals and objectives requires monitoring and revision to meet changing conditions. Moving on. One of the primary roles of the library board is to assume responsibility for the library's operating funds. The board or finance committee annually approves the budget recommended by the library director. The board adopts the tax rate after reviewing needed information provided by the director to adopt the tax rate. The library board and director tap other possible sources of revenue to meet the library's budget needs. The board adopts policies that provide direction for day-to-day management of finances, and the director manages the day-to-day finances within the guidelines set by the board. Prior to each meeting, the board reviews financial reports prepared by the director. The library board approves monthly expenses, sometimes called vouchers, as prepared by the director for their consideration. The board contracts for the auditor to perform the required audit. The library director assembles all the documents necessary for the audit and works with the auditor. The board and the director review the completed audit and determine if changes in the library operations are appropriate. The director implements changes determined by the board. The board reviews all required reports, including the annual report prepared by a director. The annual report is submitted annually by KPLA. Personnel is another area where the trustees and director have very important but very different roles. The board hires a director. The director hires a staff. The board sets the goals for the director. The director implements the goals set by the board. The board approves personnel policies, including job descriptions, salary schedules, and benefit packages for staff. It is the responsibility of the library director to recommend personnel policies, including job descriptions, salary schedules, and benefit packages to the board. The board establishes a well-defined hiring policy to be followed for all positions. Then the director follows the board's adopted hiring policy and establishes an employment procedure for filling staff vacancies. The board ascertains that all local, state, and federal laws are met regarding maintenance of personal records. The director oversees the maintenance of all personnel records. The board ensures that the library abides by all local, state, and federal employment laws. The library director keeps current on changes in the laws that are applicable to employment practices. The library board evaluates the performance of the library director at least annually to provide feedback on his or her performance. The library director evaluates the performance of staff at least annually. Now let's take a few minutes to review what we have learned. Please answer these true or false statements. The library board must approve the library's annual budget. True. Few responsibilities of the board are as important as approving the library's annual budget, as the budget enacts the library's program of service as outlined by the board. Each trustee needs to be able to explain and justify the budget when asked. The library board doesn't need to approve monthly expenses each month. False. Good stewardship of public funds requires that trustees be aware of how funds are being spent. Every expenditure needs to be reviewed and approved by the board for effective internal control. The board should ascertain that all local, state, and federal laws are being met regarding maintenance of personnel records. True. Personnel records are a foundation for operating the library. Keeping the appropriate records within legal parameters will protect the library in employment issues and provide documentation for the board and staff when necessary. The board does not need to evaluate the performance of the library director at least annually. False. Only with the board's input can the director perform his or her duties effectively and meet the board's goals. The evaluation process also provides the opportunity to address any performance issues in a timely manner. The director evaluates the staff at least annually. True, it is the role of the director rather than the board to evaluate the staff. Staff evaluations are necessary to provide positive reinforcement, deal with performance issues, and allow staff feedback. The director advises the board on issues concerning the staff. And moving on. One of the most important decisions a library board will make is the choice of who will serve on the library board. This person will work very closely with the other trustees for 4 years and play a large role in the direction of the library. It is the goal of the board to select trustees who truly represent the makeup of the community. In order to achieve this, the board must develop policies and procedures for choosing nominees for board vacancies. The director provides information needed by trustees for choosing nominees and manages the orientation of new trustees. Trustees should be members of and participate when possible in local, state, and/or national organizations that pertain to libraries or that lead to opportunities of benefit to the library. Such organizations include the Kentucky Library Association, Kentucky Public Library Association, American Library Association, Public Library Association, local chambers of commerce, local civic clubs, and others. The library director can encourage and arrange payment of membership-related costs. These professional organizations not only allow trustees to network and stay abreast of current library issues, but they also provide continuing education for library trustees. The library director should inform trustees of upcoming continuing education opportunities, including trustee certification, and make arrangement for attendance. The library needs to pay the costs of these events. With increased competition for public funding, it is important that libraries be understood as a critical element of education, economic development, and an improved quality of life in every community. Trustees must promote the library with city, county, state, and federal officials, along with neighbors, business associates, and friends. The director is responsible for providing trustees with the tools and information needed for advocacy efforts. The board should adopt a marketing and public relations plan drafted by the library director. The board should include funding for marketing in the library's budget. Each trustee and the director should actively participate in carrying out the marketing and public relations plan. To ensure ongoing marketing efforts on behalf of the library, the board should keep the general public informed about library services and programs. The director should actively promote the library program at every opportunity and encourage staff to promote goodwill for the library. The role of trustees in advocacy on the local, state, and national level cannot be overestimated. Trustees are an important part of the Advocacy Committee of the Kentucky Public Library Association that organizes advocacy on the state level for public libraries. More about the work of the KPLA Advocacy Committee can be found at the Advocacy Committee page on KPLA's website. Each year, the Advocacy Committee sponsors Kentucky Library Legislative Day, when trustees, librarians, friends groups, and library supporters from across Kentucky come to Frankfort to visit with their local legislators to show support for libraries and promote library issues. Many more advocacy efforts are highlighted on the website of the American Library Association. Now let's take a few minutes to review what we have learned. Please answer these true or false statements. The library board should adopt a marketing and public relations plan for the library. True, the library can create great services, but the residents need to know about them if they are to take advantage. Taxpayers and community leaders, even those who do not frequently visit the library, need to hear about what happens so they will be supportive. Funds spent on marketing are a very good investment. For purposes of confidentiality, it is important for trustees to avoid talking about the library anywhere in the community. False. Trustees should be at the library's top advocates. Committed trustees are able to spread the word about the wonderful value of the library throughout the community. By talking to your friends, neighbors, and associates about the library, You're providing a most valuable service that will impact your library's ability to provide service now and in the future. The board must develop policies and procedures for choosing nominees for board vacancies. True. As has been mentioned, selecting nominees for the board is one of the most important decisions a board will make. In addition, the public deserves to know about the process used to choose new trustees. By having written guidelines, the board can be transparent, consistent, and organized as this process unfolds. Trustees should attend continuing education events at library expense. True. Serving effectively on the library board requires trustees to continually learn about how to be a good trustee, in addition to learning about the ever-changing world of libraries. Library funds expended for trustee continuing education is another wise investment for the future of the library. Trustees do not need to attend Kentucky Library Legislative Day. False. Trustees are very welcome and encouraged to attend Kentucky Library Legislative Day. Every trustee should attend Legislative Day at least once during their term of office. Trustees make a bigger impact with legislators and officials than librarians. It is a lot of fun to see trustees from other parts of the state and enjoy the camaraderie of library supporters gathered in the state's capital. Your service for the library will benefit from all of the energy gathered in one place for libraries. Almost done. In summary, trustees oversee the overall operations of the library, and the director manages the day-to-day operations. Trustees adopt policies and their strategic plan, and the director implements policies and their strategic plan. Trustees approve the budget and monthly expenses, and the director recommends the budget and prepares financial reports. Trustees hire the director, and the director hires the staff. Trustees choose nominees for board vacancies, and the director manages the orientation of new trustees. Lastly, trustees promote the library to government officials and the general public. The director promotes the library program and provides information needed for advocacy efforts. About the following scenarios and what you would do if you were in this situation. A trustee is moving out of county and must resign from the board. How should the board proceed? What do you think? Here's another scenario. The library needs to hire a new bookmobile librarian. The job description hasn't been updated in over a decade. What is the board's role? Scenario. A community member has approached you with a request that the library reconsider its recent decision to purchase the property next door for possible future expansion. What is your response? Here's the next scenario. There is proposed legislation that would negatively impact the board's ability to maintain the library's current funding level. What could you do? And the last scenario. As a trustee, you are in the library frequently. Lately, you've noticed several young children in the library who appear to be unsupervised. What could you do? Thank you for attending the Library Trustee and Director Roles training component of the Kentucky Public Trustee Certification Program. Fill out the Learning Activity Report as you complete each prescribed training. You may mail or email the Learning Activity Report to the Continuing Education Consultant's Office at the KPLA. There are a total of 5 prescribed training programs that are required to receive your initial certification. You must also complete the following 4 prescribed training programs: strategic planning and library advocacy, conducting a library board meeting, fiscal responsibility, and governance of Kentucky Public Libraries. After the 5 prescribed training programs have been completed, you must mail your application for certification to the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives. A Kentucky Public Library Trustee certificate will be issued to you. This certificate will be valid for 4 years. You can mail applications and learning activity reports to Continuing Education Consultant Trustee Certification at the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives, 300 Coffee Tree Road, P.O. Box 537, Frankfort, Kentucky, 40602, 0537. Remember, learning activity reports can be sent by email or email attachment to kdla.certification@ky.gov. Thank you and good luck.